Hey y'all, I am starting my research on Pawleys Island's Gray Man today, and I really hope they're done outside with the landscaping. It's raining today. I don't know why they were out there mowing and things, but they were, and it was very loud, so hopefully I can get a couple uh, things done on the research today for this and have it recorded so that way you guys can hear everything, because I also hope you can hear everything well because I'm still having audio issues. But we're eventually going to get this all worked out so it actually seems like I'm doing something semi-professional. Um, but anyways, so far the only thing I have started on this is that's Hiccup. She says hello. Is I've saved, a folder on my computer that just says Gray Man, Pawleys Island. But I have a notebook with me for taking notes and a stack of books that I know for some of them I've seen Pawleys Island in at least one. I think I actually may have it marked. Um, but yeah. Fun thing though, yesterday I was at Barnes and Noble and I was looking in their local section that they have. It took me forever to find it. Every time I go in there, they rearrange. That's why I go to Books a Million more often. They don't rearrange as quite so often. Anyways, but found a book that actually was talking about the Gray Man of Cape Hatteras, and it's basically the same story of a spectral ghost guy who pops up just before really big hurricanes, and it's actually like good luck if you see him because, well, I take that back. I've heard of Pawleys Island it's good luck if you see him personally because it means like you'll be safe, but everybody else is gonna have devastation. I don't know if that's the case with Cape Hatteras, and I'm not 100% on Pawleys Island. I just know that's what I remember hearing. I don't know if it's actually true to the lore or if it was just somebody who wanted to embellish the story a little bit more. So, first things first, let's look at the giant stack of books and just see which ones talk about them. I don't always use the books in my research, like for the actual writing and everything, but I do have all of these in my library online, so I can at least link back to it that way easily. Notification just went off on my phone and scared the bejesus out of me. I don't know if you actually saw me jump, but all of a sudden my phone just flashed white and I got really scared that I had touched something. Alright, let's see. Pamlico Sound, Roanoke, Hatteras, Ocracoke, Holy Ghost Shell. I don't think any of these in here. I don't remember where I got this book. Hold on. This one actually does have a bit in it. Did I actually already save it? I did, didn't I? Oh, I love it when I do smart things for myself. Cool. So, my Haunted America by Armchair Reader. Basil says hi too. It actually does have a couple of pages in here about the Gray Man. So, let's do a quick skim. According to legend, before every major hurricane that's hit Pawleys Island since 1820, including Hurricane Hugo in 1989, the Gray Man has appeared to certain folks on the island to warn them to leave before the approaching storm strikes. So if you see him, get the fuck out. Alright. When they return after the storm, the people who encountered the Gray Man find their homes undamaged while other buildings nearby have been destroyed. So definitely if you don't have homeowners insurance and you see them, leave. Alright, let's see. The identity of the gray man is unknown, but there are several candidates. One theory suggests that it is Purvisical Polly, the island's first owner and its namesake. Others believe that it's the helpful spirit of Paladin Charles Jeanette Weston. I can't talk today, like I ever can. A man whose former home is now the island's Pelican Inn. For things like this where it actually gives the name of a place, like Pelican Inn, this is an older book, I think. So some of the things, alright, this is from 2011, so some of the places may no longer be there, as far as whatever they were called. More romantic legends say the gray man is the ghost of a young man who died for love. Isn't that how it always is, though? Like, you're either waiting by the sea for the person to come back, or you died at sea trying to get back. Stories about how he lived, or how he perished ferry. One tale says that he was on his way to see his beloved, but fell into a bed of quicksand and died. I don't think we have quicksand around here. Soon after, while the object of this deceased man's affection was walking along the beach, a figure in gray approached her and told her to leave the island. She did, and that night a hurricane slammed into the area, destroying just about every home except for hers. Pause, because if it's like within 12 hours of a hurricane, if you've never experienced one, you start getting signs a couple of days beforehand. But if it's like within 12 hours, like long enough to where, you can walk along the beach and then that night your island's getting hit, you would definitely notice that a big storm was coming. Not necessarily that you would need to leave, but I mean, hurricanes, it's not just like a dot on a map. It's big. It's a big storm. You go through, first you get like the tropical storm kind of level winds, and it amps up. So I have to laugh slightly at like she didn't already know a storm was coming. Or maybe she did, but it being the 1820s, she didn't have all of the information we have today about storms. I'll give this poor girl the benefit of the doubt. Alright. Another story concerns a woman who married a man after she thought that her beloved had died at sea. Later, when she met a man who survived a shipwreck off Pawleys Island, she realized it was her lost love, waterlogged but still very much alive. However, he didn't take the news of her marriage too well. He slunk away and died shortly thereafter, but according to legend, ever since then, he's been warning folks to flee whenever they're in danger from an oncoming storm. He has supposedly appeared before hurricanes in 1822, 1893, 1916, 1955, 1954, 1955, and 1989. Now, since this has been written, we've had Florence and definitely other storms too. I'm trying to think. But Florence being the big one. God, I hated having to sit through that storm. It just sat on us for so long. I wonder if anybody saw them before that. Because I know I've seen like CCTV footage supposedly of the gray man or something resembling the gray man walking along piers. But I can't remember if they're in regards to Florence or not. Let's see. Alright. Gray man is... He appears a few hours before a storm, even not necessarily hurricanes, but ones on the water, just in general. He's credited with saving many lives before the advent of contemporary forecasting techniques. In 1954, a couple was spending their honeymoon on the island when they heard a knock on their door around 5 a.m. When the husband opened the door, he saw a figure in gray whose clothes reeked of a smelly brine, or a salty brine. Yes, It would be a little smelly. A salty brine, and whose features were obscured by a gray hat. The man in gray said that the Red Cross had sent him to warn people to evacuate because a huge storm was heading for the island. And he vanished before they could question him any longer, realizing this was no ordinary Red Cross worker. The man and his new bride left the island immediately. So does he, like, know shit? Like, would he say Jim Cantori told me to leave the island? And I asked that because did they have the Red Cross in the 1820s to tell people to get to safety? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I don't know when the Red Cross came about, but anywho. Let's see. Hurricane Hazel struck the island with a deadly force of a cat-formed storm. Holy shit. Y'all. I have sat through storms that are ones. Florence was a 2, and her problem was she sat on us. I've sat through 3s. Did I sit through a 4? Can't remember. But I do know this. If it's bigger than a 3, my ass is leaving. I'm not, like, just leaving a little bit. Like, no, I am getting so far out of North Carolina. Like, I got family in Kentucky. Y'all, I am visiting y'all. Like, seriously, I do not stick around for big storms. Hell no. Alright. So, Gray Man apparently doesn't care much for modern technology. As he was still doing his shtick in 1989. That was when Hugo hit. A couple walking along the beach spotted the Gray Man. Although the Phantom vanished before the couple could speak to him, his reputation preceded him, and the couple fled the island. When they returned home, their home was the only one in the area that had not been devastated by the storm. Oh, I think this is where I first heard about him. This incident got the Gray Man a moment on the national spotlight. He was featured in an episode of Unsolved Mysteries in 1990. I guarantee you that's where I first heard of him. I used to watch Unsolved Mysteries all the time. Alright, so, we got 1. I don't know if this one would have anything. It makes sense not to, because this is I ain't gonna have nothing hard at Heartland. Or Heartland, no. Alright, so last 2. Spooky South and Haunted North Carolina. Let's see. I can hear it raining outside and it sounds so pretty. Let's see. Not in that one. This is Haunted North Carolina, so it shouldn't have anything about Pawleys. But just to be sure. It doesn't, but this is the second time I've seen something about Hatter's Jack. Oh, Hatter's Jack is a dolphin. I sit right next to the litter boxes, and I would just like to know, why is it that the second I start doing anything with audio, my cats decide that they need to pee very loudly? Alright. Before I forget, I'm writing down that Cape Hatteras has a gray man. So I can maybe... I'll probably research that one separately before I actually posted anything about it, just because I was already planning on doing this one first. And I don't want everything I post to be in North Carolina. I mean, we do have a lot of spooky shit that goes on. We probably have 5 different places off the top of my head that have devils in the name. Don't you dare claw at that carpet. Bazoo. Be good. Cats. Where was I? But yeah, I will probably read over the one for Cape Hatteras and do a little like personal research on that before I decide what I'm gonna do. And interesting that Pawleys doesn't have an apostrophe S. You think it would, because wasn't the person's name just Polly? Indeed it was. So, as being, you know, possessive. Southern education at its best. Alright. So, let's see. We're gonna... I'm gonna end up knocking everything off my desk before it's over with on sheer accident. I've already done it a couple of times today. Apparently I'm gonna do it a couple more. So, whatever. Scene in 1822, 1893, 1916, 1954, 1955, 1989. And putting down some quick names of who it could be. Alright, so I got just the brief notes of who he may be. We're also going to write down those who see him. Totally, and their houses. Okay. Post hurricane. Alright. This one actually pulled up a few different ones. Let's see here. Let me go into here. I use Google Keep to just keep a quick reference of all my source links and material and everything. So I just the way my brain works, I actually keep a list of potential labels because I use Blogspot for my shit, Blogger. But for the label, I have foreshadowing, and I like that. Past me was smart on that one, and it's nice because I don't think about that much. All right. Okay, so there actually was, according to Wikipedia, there was a spotting in 2018, just before Florence. Let's see. And I like that because it's the last really big storm our area dealt with, and it was apparently big enough that it made the news. Of course, it made the news on Yahoo. It's still the news. This also is a nice story because even though it's a ghost story, it's one of you shouldn't be scared if you see the gray man, like, because he saves you. Well, he gives you warning. You're responsible for saving yourself. Hang on 1 second. Okay. I thought I didn't have my audio on. That would have been a source of frustration. Alright. Anywho. But oh, this is annoying. So this article isn't even like a first-hand account or anything. This is just basically the story, and then oh shit, someone said that they saw him. I'm not lying. Let's see. Where did I just... Oh lordy, it's getting real now. I just read that there was a sighting of the gray man at Pawleys Island yesterday. South Carolina better get ready, because he doesn't appear for nothing. It's the history, and then an oh shit, someone said. Pixar, it didn't happen. I get frustrated by things like that. Like, we have so many tales and stories of things that are just someone said, and I don't mind that in some aspects. But literally, I could wake up in the morning and then tweet out, oh shit, my daddy said that he saw this, and people would believe it. I mean, it's information. In 2014, the Weather Channel aired a series called American Supernatural, and they devoted an entire episode to the Gray Man. This is nice. Their Wikipedia has a list of books that you can read. They're all still older. One of them being published in 2012, so. This link is broken, so on to my favorite site, the Wayback Machine. Let's see if they got anything there for me. Cool. Wayback Machine did its job. And so I don't have to search 40,001 times later on. So there's actually a horror movie. Ironically. But this one, Gray is spelled with an E, where the Gray Man is spelled with an A. But, let's see. This is all about the movie. Even some possible thought that the Gray Man is Edward Teach's ghost. So Blackbeard, if you are unfamiliar with pirates. I always say I live in pirate country. I don't know why people don't believe me on this. So, a couple more options. This feels like it reads not quite word for word because there are some additions as the book. Charles Joyner, an author and professor of Southern history and culture at Coastal Carolina University, has done more extensive research on the ghost of Alice Flagg than the Gray Man. However, he is familiar with a written account of the Gray Man legend that names Weston as the ghost and has stayed at the Pelican Inn while working on another project in the room where the Gray Man is said to appear. So, in that version where it's the owner or one of the founders that his house was in the same location as a hotel, it says that the Gray Man, I guess, appears in a certain room. They enjoyed putting me in that room, he said. I had a tape recorder with me because I was recording the children and grandchildren of slaves. I had like interviews with them. I had it ready if the Gray Man had any desire to contact me. The ghost didn't show himself or give any hint that he was present. Joyner says that the Gray Man legend appears to have originated in print in the 1940s with the publication of a book of ghost stories by Julian Bollock. It doesn't seem to have been widely told before that. Ooh, that's good. We can try and see if we can find this book. Let me see if I can write. Alright, first printed. Sucks it doesn't give an exact year, it just gives the 1940s, so. But I don't know anybody who has actually collected a version of that from oral tradition, but folklore is the kind of thing that used to mean people knew something before they heard it from friends and family and no other source. It's almost impossible for that to exist anymore in our world. With TV and computers, anybody can know most of the folklore of the world if they want to. That's very true. Well, I hate when it sounds kind of contradictory when I'm reading it. Because in the paragraphs before, it said it originated in print in the 40s. And it says Joyner also hasn't found any oral sources cited in earlier printed versions of the Gray Man story. Earlier than what? I thought we already said that the first one was like in the 40s. Like the printed versions. Unless it's just referring to in general before his stay. But This is just some excerpts from the Unsolved Mysteries episode. An author of a book that, I think, South Carolina lore book, something Carmichael. It's all the way up at that top. I don't like scrolling. But anyways, this author Carmichael said that he's talked to one person who's claimed to have seen the gray man firsthand, but that person refused to allow his name or the experience to be used. He was afraid people would think he's a kook. However, there seem to be plenty who know someone who had an encounter with the gray man. R.L. Port said his father claimed to have seen the gray man before Hurricane Hazel in 1954. He said he's never seen the ghost himself, but remembers when his father was on the south end of the island fishing ahead of the storm. When he came home, he said he had seen the gray man, though Port didn't remember any of the details of the description. Curtis Whittington, Pawleys Island area furniture maker, recounted a story he heard from a friend, the late Dickie Creighton. According to Whittington, Creighton and a date were walking along the beach with another couple when the ghost was seen. If I remember correctly, it was just after the sun went down. He and the others saw a figure he thought was the gray man. It was floating above the beach. Whittington doesn't remember if the sighting was before a storm, but Creighton said the apparition wore a long coat and had no legs. Insert Lieutenant Dan joke right here. I swear, y'all, my brain works like this all the time. It is not because the camera is on me. It's just the way my brain works. I crack myself up often while I'm by myself. Vita Miller, owner of Gray Man Gallery, says she chose the name for her business because the shopping center it's located in was also known as Gray Man when she opened the gallery 32 years ago. She didn't have any better names, so she kept it. Well, that's fun. But that doesn't really help me. It's like the Lizard Man. You know, you go to the city that the Lizard Man's in, and it's a tourist thing, you know? So you slap the name on everything you possibly can. The story Miller most vividly recalls hearing was from a local minister who said he saw the gray man. Miller won't give the minister's name, but said the man was on the beach on the eve of Hurricane Hugo. It was in the afternoon just before a mandatory evacuation was issued. The weather was getting nasty, and it was raining and misty, and he saw a figure coming towards him. See, at least like this, it actually, unlike the original story from the 1820s, like, the weather's getting bad, you know, something's coming. But he saw a figure coming towards him. It struck him as unusual because he hadn't passed any others on the beach that day. He was ready to speak to him, and the figure completely disappeared before his eyes. He said, I don't believe in that sort of thing, just the Holy Ghost, but he saw it with his own eyes. Miller said she's heard tales of ghostly apparitions on the beach at the Pelican Inn and the Tip Top Inn, which no longer exist. It's amazing how many come in and tell us about the Gray Man. They also buy Gray Man art. It says it's more popular than Alice. People just don't seem to know about Alice like they do the Gray Man. I wonder who Alice is. I like this. Whoever the Gray Man is, I'm convinced he's in good spirit. Well, yeah. Of course he's a good spirit. He tells you about a storm coming. I random side note, have installed the Chrome app for Grammarly. So if my writing seems to be improving as far as typos and stuff, you now know why. But I'm checking my text messages on my computer so that way I can record. And it just corrected my stuff. And that's funny to me. Anyways. Let's see. What's this one? Oh, you are the #1 Google search result and you are so slow to load. And that's right. I didn't click on the #1 search result in Google first. I went with #2. Because it was Wikipedia. This is just about the lore. But it does have a little quick video.
Oh, the Gray Man. Well, everybody who's ever lived here for any length of time knows it.
There have been so many sightings, so many people that otherwise are not story.
Okay. I like that it has a little video.
Are not foolish or superstitious. That will say
It does
they
not
saw
have a fucking
someone
watch on YouTube.
who was there and appeared to be pointing, appeared to be holding a hand to say stop
Oh.
or leave.
I'm trying to get better about my swearing. But that just annoys. Like, how you gonna have it also on YouTube? The YouTubes. This one has, it's actually excerpts from the book Ghost of Georgetown. And, funny enough, it has Gray Man spelled with an E instead of an A. But it's still the same one. It's not the creepy one from the movie. It's the same ghost guy. But this one talks a little bit more of the Pelican Inn version. Let's see. I'm trying to like not read the whole story. But more of how he like skimming it to see how he would have died. Oh, he got tuberculosis. That sucks. Huh. The first reported sighting of the gray man was in 1822. This dude died in 1864. So how do you have a reported ghost sighting before someone's even dead? I don't get that. But what I do get is that I need a cup of coffee. So I am going to go brew myself a cup, check my messages, and then I will be back and have a delicious mug of warmth to get me through some of this. Because I understand some of these books were put out before the internet, but if you have the first reported sighting of something in 1822, and the person that you're saying that the ghost belongs to didn't die until 1864, what kind of math are you doing there? Come on. But I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. I had to, like I said, get coffee and tell everybody I know about the ghost who somehow appeared before he died. But while I was doing that, I also did do a quick look, on the other named candidates for the Gray Man. Mr. Pawley himself died in 1787, and Edward Teach died in 1718. Since I don't have names for the supposed sailors that died, I can't look them up. But I can't get over the whole, oh, it's this guy, he's the ghost, and he died like 40 years after the first sighting. Like, that, is he a time traveling ghost? Like, does he have a fucking TARDIS he hops in and just zips off and, like, come on. At least I have coffee. My mug looks way bigger in this than it actually is. I think it's just angles. I look like I have a giant mug, and I swear I don't. Alright. Back to this. Of course, it goes down the wrong way as soon as I take a sip because I get excited because the YouTube video or the video I saw that I was hoping had a YouTube link. I now see the YouTube link. Excuse me. This is why Lily can't do things on camera. I don't like drinking and talking. I can't do two things at once. Not even on camera. I just can't do it on general. Alright. Before I lose this video, paste the link. It actually is nice. There's quite a few videos. Alright, I have no idea who this lady is that's narrating, but I want to eat her collard greens, and I don't mean that in a weird way, like literally. She got the accent, she got the look. I bet you she is an amazing cook. And if you see this video, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. But also, too, maybe a little over the top with her acting. I don't care. She got her thing down, and I like it. I'm definitely gonna take a look at all these videos before I share them.
Jim and Clara Moore were interviewed many times months following Hurricane Hugo.
To make sure that
And
they're
one
good.
thing
Sorry.
that I remember clearly, they said, we are not claiming that we saw.
Let's see. This whole one's more of a podcast style. Give that a listen to and see what they got. I got a message back that math don't math, and that's exactly what I said. Damn, there's even an article about the gray man from Southern Living magazine. He's popular. Just because my squirrel brains, I am curious. I want to see the gray man of Cape Hatteras. You know, I've lived in North Carolina my entire life, and I cannot spell Hatteras. Every single time, I rely on autocorrect. Oh. This one hasn't been around as long. Only since the early 1900s. Both of the two links that first appeared or popped up have it spelled different ways. I think that's just, nobody in America knows how to actually spell gray. We know it's different from all of y'all in the UK, but none of us fucking know which way is the right way. He doesn't talk to anybody in this one. He just appears, and if you see him and you try to talk to him, he vanishes. I like the storytelling in that one. Very lyrical in the way the writing was done. I apologize too if I make all kinds of random weird noises. Yes, I tap my fingers on my mug and I sing to myself and I do weird things. Just if you're gonna watch these videos, you're gonna have to be used to the weird Lily stuff that Lily does. Oh, on this one, it's supposedly the same ghost as Pawleys Island. And according to this, he appeared on the Avalon Pier in Kill Devil Hills during Hurricane Florence. I remember seeing this video, like when it came out. And I'm pausing because I'm not entirely sure if this is supposed to be Pawleys or Kill Devils. Yeah, let's go to YouTube for this one so I can get a little bit more. Alright. This one actually is fucking perfect to use. It is, like I said, the CCTV version. They had a live feed during the Florence. Oh shit! My autoplay started autoplaying. but they had a live feed during Florence. I don't know if you guys ever try to watch a live feed during a hurricane. This is actually really impressive. Because I'm assuming they had just some really good shit. I remember we were trying to watch the Frying Pan Shoals live feed that they had on YouTube. And, I mean, before the storm even got bad, the damn thing got knocked out. You know? And a lot of the live feeds that we tried to watch would just get knocked out because the winds were so strong for that one. But yay! This is the video that I really wanted to have. So, now the one thing that I do have to make mention on this one, I mean, you know me. I'm gonna try and debunk shit because I am never satisfied with just the whole, oh, here's the legend. I actually want to know what it could possibly be. It does slightly bother me that this one is from paranormal investigators. And I say that because, okay, so if I have Joe Schmo that doesn't ghost hunt for a living, he catches something on his stuff, okay, I'm a little bit more inclined to pay attention to it versus paranormal investigators. And I just say that because how many times has it come out that they've very obviously faked something whenever they were on TV and things like that. So I take that stuff with more of a grain of salt than what I would if it was just some random person that had an experience. So that's why it's just like, well, I'm happy I found what I was looking for. I didn't realize it came from paranormal investigators. And somewhere out there, a couple people I know were just like, oh, yay! Because they are hardcore non-believers. But yeah. Anywho. Let's see. Do. This video is just about images from Pawleys Island. Nope. Not what I clicked. And even though it's not about the story that I'm looking for, it is about the area, so. It's so funny how many people my age say they remember Hurricane Hugo running through here in '89. Because I sure as shit don't remember it. I was 5 years old and couldn't tell you. The earliest hurricane I remember was either Bonnie or Bertha. One of the B ones. I don't know. I was in middle school. Like, I found out how boring hurricanes can be. Like, you spend so much time prepping for everything. You got to get groceries. You got to, if you have a generator, you got to make sure it works. You got to make sure you have fuel for it. You got to make sure you have water to both drink and, like, for the toilets to flush. You got to board up everything. And then And it comes and it's just long and boring and windy. Like, fortunately, my parents got a covered porch, and the way their house is situated, it's a 1-story house with two stories on either side. So the wind would blow this way, and then the wind would blow this way, and we could sit on the front porch and be perfectly fine. Never really took too much damage in any of the storms, thankfully, at their house. But it's just so boring. I do not wish hurricanes on anybody, but honestly, I'd rather sit through a hurricane than a tornado just because I at least know where the hurricane's going. And this apparently seems that the gray man was on their lookout, which I'm assuming is kind of like a widow's walk. But it wasn't, they thought it was their dad. It wasn't actually him, it was the gray man. And their house was spared. Here's a question. Your house may be spared because, I mean, hurricanes do kind of act like tornadoes in the fact that it seems like it can kind of skip who gets damage on a street. Like, one house can be completely destroyed, every other house untouched. But with storms and the storm surges, if you're on an island, there's, flooding is a huge, huge problem. So when they say that their houses are untouched, do they not have flooding issues? I mean, if you say it's untouched, to me, I'm not going to have any water damage, you know? Or is this just more of a wind, or you're still going to have 4 walls and a roof kind of thing, but all your shit's ruined? Like this editor's note: who would advise against relying on your, or we would advise on relying on your local meteorologist or the National Weather Service rather than a ghost, however benevolent, when making your evacuation. Always trust the National Weather Service, not ghost. That's a really good tip. That made me giggle too much. Like, I'm really trying to contain it. And here's one where supposedly it's a Confederate soldier who died during the war. And if you're not familiar, that would be the Civil War, if you're not American. So, and Confederate was Southern. So anyways, he rode home from the war just in time to warn his family of an impending storm. The family is said to have survived only to receive a telegraph days later informing them of his death on the battlefield weeks earlier. Though this is an often repeated Gray Man origin story, it does not track with the first reported encounter in 1822. See, I like this. See, they gave an origin possibility, but then they said that it doesn't track. I like it when people do the research right. And again, Weston would have been a small child at the time of the earliest sighting. Yes! I just took a look at the fucking website I'm on. Garden and Gun. It's a magazine. And it's not what I necessarily want to link to, but I hate the fact they got the fucking shit. And the reason I don't want to link to it is, well, for starters, I am anti-gun. Deal with it. Don't at me. I don't give a shit about your opinions. They're my opinions. I don't like guns. Fuck off if you have a problem with that. But aside from that, it just, you have to be careful sometimes with what sites link to what, and regardless of this site's intent for other things, some people would link back to this for shit purposes. And we'll just leave it at that. Not necessarily this article, but this site. So. Why does every research time end up with me going on some kind of annoyed rant? I'm just going to drink my coffee right now. Actually, do a little bit more research on this particular publication before I just flat out fucking nix it. Because I do like the fact they point out timeline discrepancies. Oh, of course, it was written by somebody named Elizabeth. She did the right research. In case you ever didn't know what Lily was short for. This one from Southern Living. Again, I said before, another publication. Links to, I thought it was an Instagram post, but it was actually a tweet from Chip Coffee. Which, if you know him, if you ever watched Paranormal State, he was one of the psychics from that. He did Kindred Spirits, Psychic Kids, Haunted Salem, Expedition Unknown. That's all from his bio. I was just reading that off. From what I can tell, a sweetheart of a person. I don't know how true that is. Now I'm going off on rants because I'm stuck in my own head. I'm not ranting. I'm not doing any of that. I'm going to start over. Chip is a psychic who you may have seen on TV. I don't necessarily know if I believe in psychics because I just don't know. Like, I don't know. Anything's possible. And that's what I'm going to leave it at. And as far as me trying to say, he's a nice person. Everything I've seen, he's always come across as a nice person. Psychic or not, like, he actually genuinely seems to care about people and their emotions and their feelings and things. If he's not a nice person, I don't know about it because I've never met him. That's where I was going with that. I'm sorry. The garden and gun thing kind of put me in a spot where I fucking blank. And yeah. So we'll see. I don't know what we're seeing, but we're gonna see. But he shared an image. I don't know if it's where it's taken from, but it shows like There's a fuzzy spot on the camera that could be seen as an apparition, or it could just be a fuzzy spot on the camera. And because it's not a video and it's just a photo, it makes it like if you saw a fuzzy image looking like it's walking down the pier, that's a lot different than just there's a fuzzy image on an image, or a fuzzy spot on an image. Somebody from Florida. I wonder if he was captured there too. A collector of souls? No, he's not a collector of souls. No, he's not in Florida. He ain't Florida, man. I see two figures there. That's a, how I said that was a quality photo. I read that one too fast and I was like, that's not a quality photo. I get the sense he's a ship captain. Perhaps a pirate from the early 18th century. Congratulations, you used Google. Sorry. I do get a little sarcastic with my responses to people. Yeah, it didn't even occur to me that the reason why there's all these Gray Man articles from this year is because it's his 200th birthday. Apparently, and it was September 27th in 1822. I did not realize that. I also half the time don't live in the correct year, so. You know, it does seem quite fitting that I am doing research on a day that it's raining for a hurricane ghost. This article gave me a link for more information and other ghost stories. Like, click here, and it took me to a historical tour thing, but it didn't actually have one specific to Pawleys Island. This is fun. This link's from Hero Fandom. I'm trying to see if just anything gives me more information than what I've already got, because it is a little bit on repeat, which when it comes to things like this, it tends to be what you get. You get like the initial little short story, and not much else. But it's like, okay, so if the first reported sighting was in, let me write this date down, what was it? September what? Was it? 27th. 1822. So, you have this girl who, she was the first person to see him, and then it was reported. How do you not have a name associated with her? Because if you have a name associated with her, you, in theory, could then have the name of the man she was supposed to marry and was in love with, because it would be recorded somewhere, right? If it's the first fucking sighting, you know? Otherwise, it's just an urban legend, and we already did those. See, this one's actually a slightly better retelling of the story. This was he was killed in a freak accident, long his way to reunite with her. She was inconsolable. She would walk the beach in her sadness with no direction to go. One late afternoon, she saw a man dressed in gray. She recognized as her long dead lover. When she approached him, he vanished. Distraught, she went home and took to her room in tears. Family could do nothing to comfort her. And that night in her dreams, she saw him again. And this time he brought the warning. And then they left because they were actually concerned for her mental health. And then later on that day, the Great Storm of 1822 struck the area. I wonder what year we started naming hurricanes. I want to know what this bitch's name was. Because that's how you find out. That's how you link things. Okay, again, if someone dies in quicksand, like quicksand is not like movie quicksand. Like you don't just instantly sink. And again, I don't think we have any in this area. I mean, I could be very wrong, but I can't ever remember seeing anywhere that had quicksand or, I mean, you get stuck in the marsh, but that's not exactly the same thing. Let's see. And see, in this one, the story, she didn't have a dream. She just was told to, by him to leave. Which is it? This this retelling is on a resort, Grand Palms. And it ends. No shit. Alright, to experience Pawleys Island's beach firsthand, make your reservation now at the Grand Palms Resort by calling number. Who knows, maybe you'll be one of the lucky ones to see the Gray Man. If you do, just be sure to heed his warning. I mean, if you want me to come to your oceanfront resort or waterfront resort, your Myrtle Beach resort, let's see. I don't know if that's oceanside or not. Then don't remind me of fucking hurricanes and the Death Omen, dude. Alright, maybe not Death Omen, but And here's another question. If I don't take his warning and I don't leave, will my house still be okay? Will it still be left standing? I have so many questions. I need to have an interview with the gray man. Seance, anyone? I actually don't want to say that out loud. I have enough pendulums and Ouija board shit around my desk. Y'all, it is pissing rain outside. Alright, I kinda gotta look. I'll be right back. Okay, let's see if I can swing around and not kill myself. It's raining so hard, it's actually kind of raining sideways. Really glad I didn't do laundry today. That would have been bad. Okay, let's see. It sounds so bubbly outside with all the rain. It sounds like someone maybe moving something outside too. Like a big truck sound. I feel sorry for them. It's very frustrating when there's movies that are filmed that have similar names. Because like here's like pictures of the gray man, but it's all is that Ryan Gosling? Is that Ryan Gosling? Let's see. That is. Oh, and Chris Evans. What? No. This is something totally different. But still. Alright, let's see. Some people have their house name, like their vacation rental name, Gray Man. So when you see Gray Man House, Pawleys Island, and you get rentals. I guess Alice Flagg is another ghost on Pawleys Island. So when something said that Alice wasn't as well known as the Greyman, that would be why. I don't know who Alice is. Sorry, I got really excited because there's actually the fucking episode with the Gray Man on Unsolved Mysteries on YouTube. I really excited over that. Yay, though! Oh, awesome. Downside of this being an older one is I'm not exactly sure. Oh, cool. It's even the first story. It looks like. So, I don't have to worry about, like, really time stamping things. Hell yeah! That makes me happy. I wanna be outside listening to the rain. But I would get soaking wet and my chairs are all on the one side where the rain's blowing in. Let's see if this video is any different. Nope, still the same one. So, like, my brain right now, if you see smoke coming out of my ears, is because it's working. My question would be, why is there only one video from Florence of the Gray Man? You know, fact, faked, whatever. I feel like there should be just more than one. He appears to people. So the fact that there's technically any video that exists seems a little weird because this story isn't he's just randomly walking around. He's actually, it seems, actively approaching people to let them know. So why I would almost rather there be no video evidence, because I don't know about you, but I'm not, walking around my phone on record all the time. I mean, I know some people are. Chances are those people aren't walking on the beach right before a hurricane. And so, like I said, I understand that there wouldn't be a lot of video based off that, but why is the only video from paranormal people? My brain is on its little thing of, don't trust anybody because it's the internet. And so I'm trying to figure out what my thought process is on this. So my brain right now is clearly it's not Plowden Weston because he died too late. I have a hard time believing it's anybody who died in quicksand because quicksand is not movie quicksand. Again, maybe he died in a marsh. I don't know. Because like I said, I don't think we have. It's gonna bother me. Excuse me. Quicksand in South Carolina. Oh, we have puff mud or plow mud, which if you've ever lived along the coastline, we all know that wonderful low tide smell. That is just absolutely horrific, especially in the middle of the summer. Some people appreciate it. I think it smells horrible. I don't think it smells like trash. I think it smells like oysters that have been sitting in the sun for too long. Because it's basically the smell of sea life decay. The grasses, the bacteria, all that kind of stuff. So it's stinky. It smells like oysters have been sitting in the sun too long. If you've ever smelled oysters, you know exactly what I mean. But that's not quicksand. Sorry, I touched something in it. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. If I sneeze, I'm sorry. But okay. I accidentally clicked out of the map. Oh, jeepers. Alright. There is an area that is past Columbia, past. It's not as far south as Charleston, but it's over to the west. It's near Augusta, which, if you don't know, that's on the basically on the border of Georgia and South Carolina. About, if you follow the South Carolina border, it's about halfway through. So you have that all the way there. Pawleys Island is in the Myrtle's Inlet, Myrtle Beach area, Georgetown, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours south of Wilmington, where I'm at. So, North Carolina border, Georgia border, very big distance between the two. If homeboy, was traveling through there, I suppose it is possible that he got hit with the quicksand. Wait, where did my search go? Did I click on that instead of? So out in Hitchcock Woods is apparently areas where it can get wet enough for quicksand, but even then, these aren't coastal areas, so I suppose it is possible. And even then, it's not real. Like it takes wetness and. Again, if I'm wrong about quicksand, I will admit it. But quicksand, more of a perceived threat than an actual one. It does say it can be found in the coast of North Carolina. But I feel like quicksand also implies that it's actually not the soil it's based off of, because it's very watery. It's not the kind of soil we have around here. I've lived in Wilmington and, well, North and South Carolina my entire life. I did live in Little River for a while, which is the neighbor to North Myrtle Beach and Myrtle Beach. We have sandy soil. Sandy, like, and this isn't just right along the coast. You know, you can go miles inland and it's still a sandy soil. And when I say sandy, I don't mean there's some sand mixed in with some topsoil. I mean this shit is fucking sand. Actually, like my 5th grade science project, one of the things was testing out different soil samples from around, and we couldn't get soil that was not sandy soil for me to test. Like everything was sandy and water ran right through it, as it does through sand. So again, why I have a hard time believing that any quicksand would be enough to kill somebody, because we just, if you're in something that's going to be that mucky, you're literally going to be in marsh. You might hit a spot where it's not necessarily quicksand, but you hit a spot of water that's a little bit deeper, and you stumble and fall and trip, and maybe that's what they're referring to. And if you ever find yourself in the quicksand, it says not to try and stand, just to kind of float. People who died in quicksand were, it's more of they drowned when the tide came in, hypothermia or dehydration. That sounds about right. It's not the quicksand itself. So, again, I'm having a hard time believing Ghost Boy died in quicksand. Quicksand. Alright. So, origin story wise, it's hard to go with the lover story for who our ghost boy is. Just because there is 1822, yeah, it was 200 years ago, but it wasn't like prehistory old. I mean, it's 200 fucking years ago. It is not that far away. If this was the first reported sighting of him, we got the story from somewhere. Chick should have had a name. If her house was the only one left standing, we should know what house it is on Pawleys Island. It's not that big of an island. It's an island. So, especially if she, was like Plantation Island kind of thing, we should know who it was. And from there, we would have been able to track who the ghost is based off that information alone. Second story of the sailor thought to be dead and his beloved married somebody else and then he came back and saw her and realized she was married and went off and died. Like, they just sit down in water and die? Like, again, I feel like there should be more information on that story. I like the idea that it's Blackbeard, but if you know Blackbeard's history, he ain't gonna be fucking warning people about impending storms. If anything, he's gonna be like, don't come over this area. I had gold buried here. Don't touch it. Because not a nice guy. So maybe Mr. Polly himself wanted a cracker and decided to come back from the dead. I'm sorry, I made myself laugh. But yeah. So most logical candidate for the ghost would be honestly the founder of the island. He died almost 40 years, like 35 years before the first reported sighting. I don't know how often hurricanes rolled through the area back then. I don't know if it was more or less than what it is these days. But, big storms, at least nowadays, they come through more often now and everything. But I feel like back then, what we would identify as a Cat 4 or 5 hurricane, we don't even get those as often as you think in what is affectionately called Hurricane Alley, where I live. The way we're set up with the mouth of the Cape Fear and North Carolina sticking out, we're just prone to having storms, work up the coastline and wiggle their way in. And if Wilmington's getting hit, then Pawleys is going to be experiencing the effects, and vice versa. I'm sure if I do a little bit of research on this great storm of 1822 for North Carolina, we would have had damage as well. And I may end up just researching the storm just to know a little bit more about that one. But my brain says if it's going to be anybody, justifiably, like, you would. Let me pause and work on my words here for a second. It makes the most logical sense that it's not some lover dude who, ran too fast into swamp water and died. Which South Carolina is a little bit of a swamp state. So is North Carolina, honestly. I mean, the whole coastline we're swampy people. But I have a harder time believing it's some no-name person in a time when we had the ability to record a story like that. I almost think that it's more the romanticized story of it from, whatever that first book was in the 40s. So, because by then, by the time that book came out, there was already 3 reported sightings. So, 1822, 1893, and 1916. If there's reported sightings, I have a billion tabs open, so let's open up a new window. And let's see. 1893 Gray Man. I like this one. This one is from University of South Carolina. Apparently, this storm was bad enough. The 1822 storm, hurricane, killed around 300 people. It was very similar to that of Hurricane Hugo. I like this one, because it's from the university, but 2, it actually talks a little bit about the storm itself. So the storm in 1893 is known as the Sealands Hurricane. And Hazel in 54 and Gracie in 59. And Hugo. So this one does put a name to it, to the people who saw it. in 1893. I'm not even going to pronounce his name. I could never be a teacher or a substitute teacher. You know, more than ever was a sub. But I just, oh gosh, attendance would kill me having to take roll. Alright. I've got about 10 more minutes before I got to stop what I'm doing and do some other stuff. So hopefully I can find more information. Was I a complete dumbass and actually this name be in here? Let's see. No. Oh shit. So this one in 1893 was known as Sea Islands hurricane, and it killed an estimated 1,500 people. So that, wow. See as how the other one only did 300. That should tell you something. So this is the Sea Islands hurricane. This is just the and then in October 1954, it was Bill with a B Collins. And his new bride, who doesn't get a name. She was married in the 50s. Alright. Hazel only killed 95 people, so that should tell you something about that Sea Islands hurricane. So my book says there was a recorded sighting in 54 and 55. But this doesn't have anything about the 55 sighting. And then, of course, in September 89, you have 89, not 86. Dyslexia is fun. Alright, that was Clara and Jack Moore. And that was the one that made all the headlines. I find it interesting that it seems like you get more of a notice the better technology is getting. Like, it seems like all these other, like the earliest 2 stories, it was, you got a few hours notice, like half a day, versus in 89, where you get, 2 days notice. Oh. Excuse me. And I'm not really quite sure with the video that I saw when that was recorded in comparison to when Florence actually rolled through. This is just a simple. I can't take it the other one. So this site, I've never heard of it. I need to research it a little bit to see where their information comes from and whatnot. But this one, the one story where it was the chick who dude died or thought was to be dead at war comes back. It said Civil War and the other stuff, and this one is saying Revolutionary War, which would make more sense. But this does have more information about the families. Doesn't have any information about the 1916 sighting. I'm trying to reread something. It's not making sense in my brain like the way it's written, so. This one doesn't make sense. Like, it makes sense in the fact, times of timelines linking up. But so there was Charleston Belle who fell in love with her cousin, who had a reputation of being a scoundrel. Her parents were not pleased. Both sets of parents made plans to break up the couple. He was sent to France. He vowed he would return to marry her, Several months later, she was told he was killed in a duel, and she married a widower, and they lived on Pawleys Island from May to October. Husband joined the army during the Revolutionary War and was away fighting from the home in 1778. The wife was on the island. There was a hurricane that sank the boat off the the island shore. All aboard were believed to have drowned. There was a knock on the woman's door, and when she opened it, she saw her cousin, whom she had told been killed. He later went to the mainland where he died of a fever. After this, when the husband and wife went to the island, she would see a gray figure by the dunes. When she got close enough, he had no face. So, like, this makes it sound like the husband was supposed to be on the ship but wasn't. I'm fucking confused. Like, she was already told he was dead. And then, so she gets fucking married, and then it was the husband on the ship that sank. I am confused. But this one has other possible origin. Which, to me, this gray man identity is one that's believed by an Eileen Weaver. She owned the Pelican Inn for many years. She identified him through a photograph taken in the 1800s. The first time she saw a ghost, she and her cook were in the kitchen kneading bread. It was the ghost of a woman who wore a dress that appeared to be made of gingham and an apron. When the apparition was solid, Weaver knew she was a ghost. Sometimes guests would see the ghost and think she was a real person. When Weaver saw the gray man for the first time, his appearance was sudden. He wore clothing from the 1800s. The two ghosts are often seen. I don't think so. If there's something at the Pelican Inn, I'm gonna just go on a limb and say whatever is supposedly haunting the Pelican Inn is not the same gray man that gives ghostly warnings. Yeah, like, one, it doesn't make sense timeline wise. But two, why would you have, I mean, unless the afterlife is just extremely boring. So when there's not a storm around, you want to go wreak havoc at an inn. Oh, the lily is getting tired though. And my brain's getting a bit mushy. This is the problem with trying to research old things. But also why I love it. I know I'm supposed to be done, but let's go a tiny bit more. See what I get when I research 1916 Gray Man, just to see. Humor me! gives me no information. I wonder if y'all can hear the rain outside. Alright. Quick search doesn't really show any information for the 1916 sighting other than it just fucking happened. So I'm gonna make some notes right fast. Most likely candidate to me. Being Mr. Pawley himself. Just time-wise and the fact there's a name associated with it. You know. Like, yeah, it just bothers me that it's not the others. And let's look up this book. My bookmarks are all flying out of my book. Like how the ones that I looked at first had his name spelled wrong. But that's okay. It looks like this dude wrote multiple accounts. So you had the Gray Man story in the 1940s book, but then he has the Return of the Gray Man, which came out in the 60s. I hate that this book is $40 for a first edition because I would totally buy it. If you haven't ever followed me on my personal like Twitter and Instagram and stuff, I do read a lot of vintage books. Like I have just boxes of them. You can't send me to an old bookstore and me not walk out with something. Um, hmm. Here we go. This might be, I think Georgetown House Lore might be the one that I'm looking for. But it's hard to know for sure. Some of these editions are really expensive. I'm not saying I'm going to be making a trip down to Horry County, but not going to want to. Because apparently there's more information about this author down there. But, that would be far past where we are. Like, I wouldn't do it today, like, in any time before this came out. Why are you so tiny? Tiny images. So, okay, maybe not House Lore, just because that's not really ghost story-y. What else did Julian write? What the F, computer? I have more technology issues than I would ever care to admit on screen to anybody. Alright, so not Georgetown's Ghost, because that was written. First edition came out in the 50s. Maybe this one? Alright, I'm gonna stop here. I'm getting frustrated. It should be a lot easier to find this book than what it is. I've got books for him from the 50s, from the 60s, from the 70s, but nothing from the 40s, so I don't know. And none of them have fucking table of contents, because that would be nice and helpful. Thought process here. If you're selling a used book online, maybe, I don't know, include some images of the inside. At least a table of contents. Like, but that's besides the point. I'm annoyed because I can't find what I'm looking for. I'm also hungry, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stop. I gotta do chores. Right now. Hello, Basil. I'm going to. I may or may not include this next bit on camera, but I'm gonna search more for Julian's fucking book from the 40s that would supposedly has the first told story of this, or print form story of the Gray Man. That's all I want. I want to know what the name of the book is that he supposedly put this in, and if I can find at the very least a synopsis. I'm assuming that the whole lover story came from him. But I don't know because I don't know what the fucking story is. And it should be easier to find than this. I shouldn't have to go through fucking 20 pages of Google. But that's where we are. That's where I am. I'm going to try and find the story, see what his side of it was. But I'm also going to look more into Mr. Pawley himself, as well as what could be reasonings for these stories. There are people's names attached to some of them, which is really nice, because once you attach your name to it, then you're either the crazy person who said this or not. But see if I can look a little bit more into the family's histories of the people whose names were given, if anything. See if I can find any other proof, videos, photos of the Gray Man. Stories, But I want stories that line up, like, not Pelican Inn stories, because that, it doesn't line up. So no Pelican Inn stories, no Civil War stories. It's gotta fucking line up with the first reported story of the Great Storm. I would love to find the name of the woman who, was supposedly the first one to see the ghost. Oh. Coffee is not doing its job. At least not against rain. But we're going to try and find some facts that go along with this legend, because it's really just a lot of my daddy told me, and I hate it when it's that. Like, I like it because it's harder to prove, but I hate it because it's harder to prove. So, we're gonna say, before I forget, quicksand story, iffy, possibly tough mud, or marsh. But yeah, so there may or may not be more research. It may just be me writing at this point. I gotta find something along here though that correlates, and that works in my brain, which right now is currently mushy. So I'm gonna go demush my brain, and I'll talk to y'all later.